recent reports that have leaked the specifications for the yet-to-be-announced PlayStation 5 Pro. Digital Foundry, in its own analysis, said the PS5 Pro is real and dives into what the improved specs of the mid-generation console will mean for games. The analysis says more and more games on the current generation consoles, the PS5 and Xbox Series X, are CPU limited, and with the PS5 Pro having the same CPU, with the ability to run at a 10% higher clock speed of 3.85 GHz, likely means CPU-limited games that run at 30 FPS will not be able to run at 60 FPS. In real terms, those hoping that PS5 Pro will turn CPU-limited 30 FPS titles into super smooth 60 FPS experiences will be disappointed, said Digital Foundry Richard Leadbetter. With that said, the 3.85 GHz mode will bring greater stability to 30 FPS games that may not be hitting their frame rate target when CPU limited. And yes, we have started to see those titles. And if the 1% impact to GPU performance is verified, that's not really an issue in the age of dynamic resolution scaling. There will be an imperceptible reduction in rendering resolution, and that's it. If a game is CPU limited, the GPU will stall and will lose far more performance anyway.
The biggest difference between the standard PS5 and the PS5 Pro is with the GPU that sees rendering 45% faster than the standard PS5, 2 to 3 times the ray tracing, and more. The 36 RDNA2 dual compute units in PlayStation 5 receive a considerable boost, increasing to 60 CUs in the Pro, said Ledbetter. With 33.5 teraflops of compute performance versus the 10.23 TF of the standard PS5, the boost here looks incredible. However, these numbers flatter to deceive. AMD's latest GPU architectures, starting with RDNA 3, feature dual-issue FP32, the ability to double operations at the same clock speeds. However, this does not mean we get double the gaming performance. Indeed, despite the 67% increase in CU count, even factoring out dual-issue FP32, Sony itself says in its developer disclosures that the actual throughput boost in gaming applications is around 45%. An increase in compute power alone is only one part of the equation, however. To keep the CUs fed, it's important to increase memory bandwidth. Sony moves from 16 GB of 14 gigabits per second GDDR6 in the standard PS5 to 18 gigabits per second GDDR6 in the Pro, a 28% increase in bandwidth. So the 448 gigabytes per second of peak theoretical bandwidth increases to 576 gigabytes per second. Actual throughput may also be enhanced still further with architectural improvements. He added, Sony says that depending on the workload, ray tracing performance in the new Pro will be twice as fast as the vanilla unit, but with 3x and 4x multipliers in some scenarios. It's important to point out that this concerns just RT processing, not the frame rate of actual games. The platform holder says that in practical terms, this means that some games without RT on the basic PS5 can gain RT features on the Pro. Another cited example is that a standard PS5 game with RT reflections could benefit from RT shadows as well on PS5 Pro. There's been conjecture that the PS5 Pro GPU is benefiting from RT architectural improvements. AMD is planning for its upcoming RDNA 4 graphics cards. These enhancements look promising, but it's important to point out that a lot of the boost here will be coming from the fact that the PS5 Pro GPU is much larger than the standard model's GPU. So the 2x to 4x boost is coming from both architectural improvements and the increase in compute units. The PS5 Pro will feature the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution Upscaling (PSSR) solution, which aims to deliver similar results and resolution multipliers as NVIDIA DLSS. A game internally rendering at 1080p can be upscaled to a convincing-looking 4K image in 2 milliseconds, which is broadly equivalent to a similar task undertaken by AMD's non-ML FSR2 upscaler. The difference is that the quality level should be significantly higher. But as always, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. There is some speculation concerning 8K upscaling and 4K at 120 Hz. But it's worth noting that 2 milliseconds of processing time. A 120 Hz frame has an 8.3 milliseconds budget. 60 Hz has 16.7 milliseconds of processing time, and that rises again to 33.3 milliseconds at 30 FPS. Depending on the performance target, that 2 milliseconds varies in significance. The PS5 Pro will keep the same 16 GB of GDDR6 memory as the standard PS5, however. Sony has been able to give an extra 1.2 GB of system memory to developers. Bearing in mind that the standard PS5 already has enough memory to service a 4K display, you might wonder why this 1.2 GB is necessary, said Ledbetter. Sony cites the use of PSSR with its 250 MB footprint as one use case, while also pointing out that ray tracing features, particularly the BVH structures used to calculate ray bounces, are also memory intensive. Developers can use the memory as they please, but if they max out the 12.5 GB on the standard model without RT features, there's now memory available to tap into more of the Pro's capabilities. He concluded, higher frame rates, substantially enhanced image quality, and improved RT features. That's what's going to separate PS5 Pro from the standard model. Assuming there are no further surprises lying in wait, I'd venture to suggest that this is going to be a more niche offering than PS4 Pro back in the day. Some might even say it's a digital foundry machine, as its forward-looking design delivers the kind of features we like and want to see in a games console. And for many, just having the most performant console will be enough. It's difficult to see anything else competing with this until the next generation of hardware arrives. With that said, PS5 Pro also emphasizes the direction of travel for the future of gaming technology. NVIDIA started it all back in 2018 with dedicated ray tracing and machine learning silicon. Intel followed suit. Microsoft's FTC leak last year also indicated that this is the future of console hardware, and yet Sony is delivering much the same package today in 2024. More developers embracing RT and machine learning hardware sooner can only be a good thing. And I do wonder to what extent game makers will use the ML capabilities for things other than upscaling.